Hey there kids, welcome back. David from Atomic Candy, and right now I am open by chance, and what I am opening up with for you here today is MEZCO's 112 Collective 2018 New York Comic Con exclusive Ronin Wolverine. Really been looking forward to getting my hands on this one, and I couldn't get it right away. For one reason, it was because it was too expensive. You know, when exclusives first come out, they can cost quite a bit. The other reason is because I trade for these. You know, most of these figures that you see me show you on these unboxings, I traded for them. So there's no way I could afford to buy all of those. First thing that strikes me is the size of the packaging. I just want to show you here really quickly. There is the classic brown suit Wolverine right behind the Ronin, and there is a considerable size difference between the two. I do believe that the Doctor Strange exclusive is also in a very small box like that. I don't know if that's going to be a new trend with MEZCO, because they've been doing that a lot recently. They've been making box alterations to keep the prices down. We're going to go ahead and start unbagging this. Always comes in a bag. It's a way to cut corners without raising the price on the figure. So I get it. And quite frankly, the smaller box is easier to store. That is one thing. Doesn't show you what's inside, just shows you Ronin Wolverine on the back there, titled after the very popular comic book miniseries Ronin Wolverine. Go ahead and show you how we open this up here. Bottom flap, a knife or any tool, just give it a little twist, and that way you don't bend up your box flaps. Let's pull the trays out. Transparent trays. And your warning label, letting you know, hey, it's a toy, but no, it isn't. Please be careful not to smash up your figure, because we won't be held responsible, is basically what they're saying there. Go ahead and set that to the side. Lift this off. Everything has been reduced. There he is. And of course, he's still pretty much wrapped up here, but we are going to go ahead and take him out of there and get a good look at him and test his articulation and everything. Open up this bottom tray. I like the stand. Some of their stands are kind of generic. This I like. It's got a small arm for posing, and just fell out of the package there, the scarf. There it is. So let's go ahead and get him out of there and see how he looks. And here we are back with our Ronin figure out of the box and ready to be reviewed. We'll get a good look at him here. I have run into a problem with him already, surprisingly enough, because he looks really good overall. I like the look of the figure, but there's your problem. It's these shoes, which I'll show you in more detail when I pick the figure up. You see how they're designed like traditional gita, which are Japanese wooden sandals, basically, where they have the two little notches on the side, or two little platforms under the sandal. You see there? Well, unfortunately, the way these are set up, they don't want to stand up. It was actually very difficult to get the figure to stand up properly. And you see also that there is a foot peg on this stand right there, but there is no hole in the bottom of his heel for that foot peg to fit into. And he is really wobbly. He wants to go forward and backward, but he doesn't want to stand. And I had a problem getting him to stand correctly because of that, unfortunately. So it's not like I can even insert his foot into the peg stand to get him to stand up the way he's intended to. So that kind of really threw me off. That's a design flaw, the way that's set up. It just doesn't balance very well. I got him balanced now, but it took a little work, and it shouldn't be. But anyway, aside from that, the way he looks is really good, and I can't wait to test his articulation. As far as posing, obviously I'm going to have to use the stand that is provided, because otherwise he's not going to hold his poses unless he's on his knees, I guess, or has a knee on the ground. Very thick neck on Wolverine there. Again, I like the overall look of this figure regardless. And I believe his articulation should be very fluid because of the pants that he's wearing. That baggy style, like kind of almost Kenpo pants, should reduce the restrictions that you normally find in these figures around the hips and waist. Let's take a look at some of the accessories here. A reaching hand. Good detail on it. You can see his knuckles and his veins and fingernails. Lines in the palms of his hand. A pair of gripping hands, because he does come with a pair of katana blades, a pair of swords that he can hold. Look at the veins popping out. Naturally, there is a pair of extended claw hands. You've got to have extended claw hands with Wolverine, right? I will warn you, of course, if you're not familiar with these types of figures, to be careful with these, because you can see I'm barely touching this. It's already like flexing. These tend to be kind of fragile and they can break. So do be careful with them if you get one of the Wolverine figures from MEZCO. And there he goes. See? Toppled over, barely moving. If I can get him to stand back up. He keeps wanting to rock backwards. There he goes. Stay put. A short and a long blade. And a sheath for each. And the sheaths do work. Go ahead and demonstrate that there. Again, be careful. These are very thin and have been known to break. The swords with the MEZCO 112 line, unfortunately, I've heard about a lot of mishaps with the swords snapping off, and that would be really unfortunate. There we go. This one's a little tighter than the other one, so, and that could be just the way this one's been designed. I would warn people, try it the other way. No, that doesn't fit that way. It stopped. I would just warn people to be cautious about that. Don't want your sword to break off. The red scarf, and the scarf has wires in it. See how it's unfolding, so that you can give a blowing in the wind effect. It's kind of nice. The 112 collective Ziploc bag, and then the posing arm, which evidently I'm going to need, because Ronin Wolverine doesn't like to stand up. And an extra Wolverine head with the classic Wolverine hair and a grimacing face. I would have liked to have seen an open mouth head, like screaming or shouting head, but this is good. This is nice. I like that they provide an extra head, deep peg well there. Provide an extra head as opposed to like a faceplate, which MEZCO doesn't typically do the faceplates, although they did do that with the Darkseid figure. So let's get him off there and take a look at his articulation. He wants to fall over anyway, so I may as well pick him up. Alright. The head and neck is jointed separately, so you can get a lot out of the neck there, you see. Head and neck jointed separately. They did that in Popeye too. Very ridiculously thick neck there, very muscular. Good tilt and pivot. Looks up and down, turns side to side. Good motion on the head. Let's go ahead and pop that off. See how well it changes out. No problem. Shoulders feel a little tight, and it's not because of the robe. The robe is actually rather loose. It's just the way it's jointed in. But there is a good range of motion regardless. Though it does want to bunch that up though, doesn't it? Look at that. Wants to catch the robe with like every movement. It's getting pinched under the arm. Double jointed at the elbow. Although it's not very fluid. It's very stiff. Body hair all the way up the arm, and it is textured. You can feel it. There's hair painted on his chest, but it is not textured. It doesn't appear to be textured. Hand and wrist movement isn't bad at all. We could try popping one of the hands out here, just to... Not easy to pull off. Hopefully it doesn't go in without too much trouble, because you know if you break these wrists, they're hard to replace. Is that it? I think it's in there. Okay. It's not too bad. It doesn't feel like it's all the way into me though, but that wasn't too bad changing it out. Side to side, forward and backward, because there is a chest plate. You see it there? So forward and backward motion, not bad at all. And full splits because of his gigantic pants. Really good forward motion, limited backward motion, but you see that a lot with these. Hairy legs, painted on, no texture, painted on socks. Double jointed knee. And all of the twist and motion is at the ankle, not at the calf. Jams a little bit. It just like you pull it back because you get a good motion backward, and then when it goes forward it kind of locks and then snaps. At least on that one. Well, it's doing it a little with this one too. It must be something about the design of the foot peg. Side to side pivot. Not bad at all. That one locked again. There we go. Keeps getting caught. It might be the paint application rubbing on the inside. Forward tilt. Not as good, but not bad either. Of course, I'll show you the bottom here. No hole for the foot peg. And again, this placement makes it difficult for him to stand. Alright, we got all that figured out. Let's go ahead and get him into a pose and see how he looks.
मेरे दोस्तों पर हाथ मत उठाना। नारिको कहाँ है? वो चली गई।
So here we are back with our Ronin Wolverine in a dynamic pose, and I found him some Plastoy dragons to mess around with here. Had to give him some semblance of being in danger. Overall, I really like the look of this figure. Now you see the articulation on this one is really posable. He's got a lot of flexibility, so you can do a lot with him. And in particular, I love what they did with the scarf. The wires in the scarf give you a lot of options here. I mean, he looks like he could be running. He looks like there could be wind blowing. I just like the look of the scarf. I like how it all blends together. Unfortunately, the only problem I had is because of the footwear, his traditional Japanese wooden sandals, or gita, make it very difficult for him to stand up and pose. So I've got to do some really tricky stuff with the arm in order to get him into a comfortable pose. But otherwise, I mean, I really don't have any other complaints about the figure, although that kind of is a big one. If the figure can't even stand on its own, it's a bit of a problem. But the costuming, the posability, the look of the figure overall is fairly impressive. I gotta give him that. I like the figure regardless of the balancing act problems here. I'm really almost kind of tempted to add this to my top 10 list of favorite MEZCO figures just because of the look and the articulation. Although again, the posability is a bit of a problem on account of the balance, but you can find ways around that. You can find ways around that. I still think it's a spectacular looking figure. They did a good job on the appearance and articulation regardless. One other thing that I might have done differently if I had anything to do with the design of the figure, I think it would have been nice if the claw hands were also open-ended like the gripping hand, so that he could hold the sword while the claws were extended. I think that would have been an interesting combination for using a bit more imagination with posing. So what do you think overall of this figure? Our 2018 MEZCO 112 Collective New York Comic Con exclusive Ronin Wolverine. Let me know what you think in the comments section down below. Were you able to get one of these? Price has come down quite a bit since the show, so it's a bit more reasonable now than when it first came out, but you know that's how it goes with show exclusives anyways, from any manufacturer. So do you have it, or is this one that you would like to add to your collection? MEZCO's done Wolverine quite a bit, actually. They still got another one due to come out. Let me know what you think in the comment section down below. Please do give the video a thumbs up if you got something out of it. I hope you did. Share it if you can. Subscribe if you are new. Check out some of our other videos. I've got a bunch of MEZCO 112 Collective unboxings that I've done, as well as some 1/6 scale figure unboxings and a few vintage ones as well. And we do more than just unboxings on this channel. We have various discussions. We go to shows. We do toy hunts, weekly roundups, and other things. So check us out. You may find something that you like. I hope you do. Thanks for watching. And we will see you again soon.
किस किस्म के जानवर हो? वुल्वरीन।